with that, I'm going to call to order the Trimet
This is
Board of
part
Directors
two.
meeting of February 24th, 2021. And I see up on the screen now is the actual board agendas. The first item on the agenda is
I
board
can
reports.
upload this
And so I'd
one.
like to call on Director Irish Bauman to give us a report on the Committee on Accessible Transportation. Are you ready?
I am ready. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The CAT is now meeting monthly, as you know, and held its meeting last week on February 17th. Here's a very quick report, and thank you for the staff helping out on this report. I was not able to attend all of the meeting due to the snow and ice. The committee first heard a report on some of the challenges that were associated with last week's snow and ice storm. And in particular, they gave a shout out to a manager at Broadway Cab who really went out of his way to help a Lyft dispatcher who needed to obtain some medication during the worst of the storm. There were two staff reports. One was an update on safety and security efforts on the system, and one was on the planned development at the Hollywood Transit Center. Transit-oriented development that the board's familiar with. The last item I'll mention is that we scheduled a special meeting of the CAT in March to obtain CAT members' input on the general manager search, and I will plan to attend that meeting. And that is the report.
I'm uploading.
Good report. Is there any questions or comments for Director Bauman on the report on the Committee on Accessible Transportation? I'm seeing no hands raised. Thank you very much for that report. Let's go on then to the Finance and Audit Committee. Director Simmons.
Yes, thank you. We met prior to the board meeting today, and we heard from two different areas. One was an update on the current financial situation and a review of what the CARES 2 Act would provide to the agency. Then we also had an update on labor negotiations, and we also received a report on how the agency is addressing cybersecurity. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
What a great
Director
report.
Bauman, do you have anything else you wanted to add on the committee report this morning?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. I have nothing to add either. Thank you very much. Let's move on then to the Transit Equity Advisory Committee, or as we know it as TEAC. Director Gonzalez.
TEAC.
Thank you very much, President. The Transit Equity Advisory Committee met on February 9th. I believe that was more than 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago already. Time flies. And we had, again, a packed agenda. The agenda included a presentation about the updates to the business plan by our staff member, Alan Leto. We covered an update on the CAT committee. It was great to have Chris Hunter from the committee there to update on CAT's activities. There was a presentation on the Red Line expansion project and some discussion amongst the committee about that. So that was a great update to have. We also had some updates, some general comments were made about from PBOT. PBOT's become a regular participant with TEAC, so we're happy to have that connection, and PBOT was able to provide some general updates during our time on some of their activities with what they're doing in active transport. And we also I was able to share a little bit of an update with TEAC on the general manager search, which I'm sure we'll be sharing, we'll be discussing a little bit here today. So that was it. I don't have a date for our next TEAC meeting right now, but I know that we are still on the schedule for something in March.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. Are there any questions, comments for Director Gonzalez? I'm not seeing any. Let's move on then to the general manager.
I'm sorry, I didn't get my hand up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Director Edwards.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't get an invite to the last TEAC meeting, and I requested that. So if there's going to be another TAC meeting, then I certainly want to make sure that I'm made aware of it in a timely fashion so I can attend. That's all.
Thank you. Director Edwards, I'm sorry about that. I do recall the comment, and I'm not sure what happened in the chain of custody to get the invitation out. I will connect with the director of the group directly to make sure. So I believe something was sent out, but I'm not sure what got lost in translation. So I'll look into that. And I do have information now. It is March 9th that the next TAC meeting will be. So for the public and for you, Director, please hold your calendar. We usually meet at 4:30, and it'll be March 9th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question and the response. All right, now let's move on to the General Manager Search Committee. An update from Director Lori Otters-Bromlin.
Yes. Hello, everybody. The General Manager Search Committee, as the board members know, is me and Director Gonzalez and Director Simmons. We're very pleased to have retained the search firm Krauthamer and Associates, also known as K&A. K&A has extensive experience in conducting searches for transit executives, and they also have a wonderful track record in recruiting diverse candidates. So we're really pleased to have them on board to support us. We also have very strong support from Trimet staff as we're going forward. We've adopted a plan that includes community outreach before we begin recruitment. And I'm going to turn it over to J.C. Venata and ask him to present the timeline and the outreach plan.
Thank you, Director Bowman. I just want to make sure that PowerPoints are always so tricky. Do you see the full screen?
I can see it, J.C.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Director Bowman, thank you for that. President Warner, members of the board, I wanted to go over kind of a high-level review of our engagement plan for the General Manager search. You'll see there are a lot of pieces, and I'm trying to keep it high level and move quickly. So if you do have questions, please let me know, and I can potentially also share more offline.
It's all bullshit, we know that, but anyway.
We are first, let's see. Oh, hang on a second. You guys are seeing, oops, my bad. And someone said you could see the presenter slide. Here we go. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Sorry about that. So we started off with an objective. We want to have meaningful input from the community around the general manager's search.
I'm sorry, JC, but I've got two gray squares on my screen and I can't see. There we go. There's one of them's gone.
So you should. This is just crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, I've still got one square on my screen that's blocking out some of the.
JC, do you have any windows open?
There we go. I'm good now. I can see the whole thing.
Point man.
Thank you.
You can go with that version if you want there, JC. We can read it.
Well, here, I will. Okay, I can do that if you want. So we started with, here, let me back up on my apologies. We want to increase awareness around that we are hiring for a new general manager, and we also want to impress upon folks the role they play in Trimet's future. We also want to solicit a lot of feedback in meaningful ways. And we also want to report back those themes.
Yeah, just like they did with the police.
To the board. There are three.
They heard what the people wanted with the police, and they did the exact opposite. So, you know, this is just fucking bullshit.
Elements. They have to do with our community, stakeholders, and employees. And I'll first start with our community. We really want to do a lot in directly reaching out to community groups to inform them about the process, answer questions, invite them to participate through a survey and listening sessions. And I'll talk about those pieces later, but we really want to involve all of our community groups from all of them on our list that you can think of. We want to work with multilingual agencies to get them and to hear from ESL communities. We want to look at having facilitated discussions. Again, having interaction with folks where they're at. We will be asking organizations to promote our outreach efforts, and sometimes through paid opportunities. We also want to make our staff available to our partners, to community organizations, to talk through the process, ask questions, get feedback. And we also want to go to communities, to agencies, their community tables, and really have staff present there to hear directly from groups. We also want to involve our folks in the school districts that might be participating in the high school STIF program.
Sure.
So just a quick overview of our engagement of community and how that is incredibly meaningful for us. We're not listing the groups here only because I'm trying to keep it incredibly high level. When it comes to engaging key stakeholders, our recruiter will be directly interviewing key lawmakers and community business leaders. Our board, you all, if Director Bowman hasn't looped you in, you will all be contacting key folks in your districts to invite them to participate, whether it be the survey or listening sessions. There are many ways to participate. Of course, we're going to be inviting everyone to participate and sending them the survey and instructions. And then the board search committee will be working on setting up a community panel and identifying key community, business, and thought leaders throughout the region to sit on a community panel to provide feedback on the GM finalists. We would be remiss to forget our own employees, and so there's going to be a lot of work to garner their feedback. All of our employees will be asked to take a survey, and we're going to be aggregating the responses from our surveys, or excuse me, from our employees, and put that into your hands so you can see what our own employees are saying. Our directors and managers, there will be a listening session for them in early March to have almost like a listening, a virtual town hall, so to speak, so people can voice their concerns. And then executive directors, a small group will meet with the recruiter to convey their qualities and characteristics. So engaging our employees as well. We have many tools that we are gathering feedback up from the public, our stakeholders, the community. Excuse me. First and foremost is our website, trimet.org/GM. You should all use this as a resource. This is the main page where we will be putting all of our opportunities, timeline, everything is on this page. We will be updating it throughout the entire process, much like we will be requesting feedback. We have developed a survey. I call it a universal feedback tool. You might call it a survey. But this is what we're going to be putting in the hands of everyone that we touch. It's available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, Vietnamese, and Korean. We will be circulating this
is a giant manufacturing consent project here. You know, they know they have some kind of a problem with the public perception, and they're trying to change that. I don't know if they're succeeding. I don't know, because people in Portland are a little smarter than other people around the country when it comes to this. We don't want words. We want action, not words. Not survey. We want you to do things that are productive.
Specific language surveys through the various community groups that we're working with. But we will be compiling all of this information and feedback for you. And this survey will keep open throughout. And I'll talk about the timeline a little bit here in a second. But we are putting this survey into everyone's hands. 95%. Case in point right here, our on-street folks have already been out there. They have these A boards, and you'll see a big old QR code. In the time of COVID, we are all familiar with the QR code as we've scanned menus at restaurants or what have you to access further information. I know a question on here will be whether, does everyone have a phone? Pew Research says 94% of Americans have phones. We know from our latest ANA report that 84% of our riders back in 2018 had smartphones, and we know that number has grown even further as COVID has the need for internet in homes. So riders scan the code, it takes them right to the survey, and they can participate. We are having 4 virtual listening sessions. These are 90 minutes apiece, 3 in English, 1 in Spanish. And these will be primary times where we will be encouraging people to come and testify. Now, again, Director Bowman will be reaching out to all of you to help staff these. We obviously can't have all of the board members there because of the quorum, but she will be reaching out to all of you if she hasn't already to talk about staffing them. We will record these, so you will all have access to these meetings. But these are going to be very important, as we will be encouraging many people to come and testify at these listening sessions. We are also going to be promoting our board meetings. So you have seen we have surveys, we have listening sessions. We're going to have facilitated discussions with community groups.
Why don't you put them on your social media platform?
I'll touch on this in a second, all the different ways to comment. But if folks still want to comment and they want their voice heard before this board, we will be promoting the board meetings where folks can come out and testify before all of you during the public forum. And so, again, once a month throughout this process, you'll be having that public forum for folks to testify further. We will be pulling in feedback through every means that we have possible. Obviously, the survey, using the webpage for contacting us, emailing us, using social media through Facebook, Twitter, you name it, as well as text or call. And I would just note, I made mention that 94% of Americans have phones, 84% have smartphones in our area. Calling us too, they can simply call our phone number. We will log their comments, and all of that will be routed to you. Just a quick note on how we're getting the word out. Obviously, every which meeting available here at Trimet, direct through phone calls, emails.
You listen to this shit, and all it does is piss you off because I've been telling them how to do it, and they don't do it. He's saying they're going to do it, but they don't do it.
That Trimet manages, as well as through our partners, and we're encouraging others to share. I would encourage you to share as well. All of our social media, our digital channels, earned media, this is TV and radio, and then paid ads, and we're also doing
they got money to throw around like you can't believe,
languages to get the word out. Finally, what are we doing with all this feedback? That's a very good question. So here's kind of a couple of steps that I want to walk you through. This huge wave that we're going through now between the middle to late March, we're gathering up this initial response, and we'll put together this initial report for the search committee. The search committee will make some tweaks to the job description. They will then work with the full board on the job description, which will be brought to your meeting, the board meeting, in March. Before that board meeting, we will do one final pull of all of at that point in time, of all of the feedback that we've received to date. We will put it in your hands, and you can then verify the feedback that we have received and the changes made to the final job description. You will then consider that job description. We will then need it for recruitment, and recruitment begins in earnest after that final job description is approved. And I will say this, is that we will continue all of what you have just seen as far as feedback loop, where you will be constantly listening. The survey will be opening, we'll be pulling in all that feedback, excuse me, through all of our channels, and we will be providing that feedback to all of you once a week, every Friday, so that you can see as the GM search timeline progresses, you will be getting reports on what we're hearing from the community. We will not stop listening and passing that on to the board. Let's look at the timeline, and there are a lot of pieces to this, but I've tried to choose the highlights. Obviously, we are rolling out this campaign that the search committee approved last week at their executive session. So some pieces are still rolling out. We were delayed because of the snow and the power outages and internet outages.
Smoke and mirrors.
It is still rolling out. Interviews, discussions, facilitated discussions will be underway here if they aren't already. The listening sessions, the first part of March, including the employee one, And I just noted the board meetings during and the public forums, because I think that's very key, that again, if anyone feels that they have not had their voice heard through all our various means, that they still can use our board meetings to reach this full board to express their views. I made mention of how the outreach will influence the final job description for the recruitment. April, here we go, recruitment underway, and then beginning to vet candidates. Again, the board meeting. May starts the narrowing of candidates by the search committee. Again, the board meeting. In June, I made mention of a community panel that the search committee will be putting together. The community panel and the board will interview the candidates. However, we know that the board will select the final candidate. That final candidate will be, if fingers crossed, if all of our timeline works out, that candidate will be presented to the public during a special board meeting in June. And then at the board meeting, folks can still testify before the board on that candidate. And then they're at that meeting, hopefully, with fingers crossed, the board will approve the president of the board to negotiate a contract. So there's all that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, again, a new general manager starting in August. And I want to stress again to you all that this feedback loop will continue throughout this process. We will be taking feedback from the community, passing it along to you. Again, the board meetings will be key for all of you to hear from the community, as well as all of the different things that we're doing. With that, I kind of flew through that. I know that I've been at that 30,000 level, but I will stop there and take any questions that you might have. And I would just look to the search committee to see if I might have missed something, or I might have even misspoken. So I apologize for that if I have.
So Director Ballard, back to you.
Right, that looks very complete. I guess you get the message. We want to hear from the community. We're looking for every opportunity to do that. Kathy has her hand raised.
Who?
Kathy.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, but I do have a couple of questions for either JC or Lori and the executive search team. So one of my questions is around folks in the community being able to provide written testimony in other languages that aren't necessarily, the main languages that we serve. So if someone wanted to submit something in Somali, for example, would they be able to do that?
Absolutely. We have access to translation services for, I can't remember how many languages, but absolutely, we would have that translated and we would get it in front of you as part of one of your reports.
That's great. And then just my second piece is around the interview community panel. So I understand that folks are still, we're not quite there yet, and it sounds like we are still trying to figure out who's going to serve on there. But I would love to see some young people, some youth to be included on that panel, as well as some additional transit-dependent folks. So I guess it's a comment. It's more of a comment when we get to that point. That's perfect, and I appreciate that, Director Way. I would say that when we, as staff, obviously the search committee has final approval, but as we are looking to that, we definitely want to bring diverse voices to the table. And you hit it square on as far as youth, as far as folks needing various services. I think that's going to be incredibly important, especially for our future. So definitely on our radar.
Definitely on your radar, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other questions or comments for Director Bauman or for the entire search committee? And if any other members of the search committee have comments, this is also an opportunity. JC, you look like you wanted to say something more.
Yeah, sorry, it's always weird. I heard from John Gardner, who said our initial GM recruitment announcement went out to 700 community-based contacts last week. So we are rocking and rolling. It's good to see. So well on our way.
Thank you. So, Director Bauman, that's the end of your report.
That is the end of the report. Thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Keith. He's already gotten back to me on which of those listening sessions he can attend. So thank you.
Yeah, I saw that. He's put us to shame here. So thank you, Keith. All right. So before we go on to the general manager's report, I am going to put an item under board reports, which I sent to you last evening, and also I believe it's been posted now, a resolution number 21-02-03, which is a resolution honoring Doug Kelsey. And as earlier today, as I think a lot of everybody understands,
here comes a resolution.
Doug Kelsey has decided to retire and move back to Vancouver, BC. And we wish him well, but I think it's important that we take a moment to just acknowledge all of the efforts and work he's done for Trimet in his couple positions here. So I've got a resolution which is quite long. I'm going to just paraphrase it so that in the interest of time, but it gives you a good idea of why we're not happy to see Doug leave, but we're really pleased that he has the opportunity to spend some more time with his family and do things that are fun for him. So this resolution, I'm going to start. It says, whereas the Tri-County Transportation District of Oregon and its board of directors wish to honor Doug Kelsey for his exemplary, inspiring, energetic, diligent, thoughtful, and decisive leadership and service to Trimet, the Tri-County region, and the people of Oregon. And then it goes on to say, whereas he started his career at Trimet in November of 2015 as the chief operating officer, where he brought a lot of experience from Canada and his multimodal experience to immediately apply those skills to improving the agency's safety practices and increasing on-time performance of the light rail and bus service. And whereas Doug also initiated the first ever comprehensive strategic plan, which really looked at achieving agency-wide goals while pursuing continuous improvement.
Get on with it,
March 5th,
motherfucker.
2018, following a national and international candidate search, and after extensive committee engagement,
after that fraud,
chose him to lead the agency as the general manager and continue and expand.
Shut up. Let me read it. Modernizing the bus fleet. Yeah, he did that right. Lowering the fleet's age from 15 years. Yeah, right. Expanding bus service district-wide, which has now been decimated. Implementing an improved low-income fare. That was before his time. Guiding Trimet urban planning strategies. Oh, that's very important. Improving safety practices. Yeah, sure, yeah. Continuing improvements in bus and light rail on time. Oh, God.
All the work he had done as the chief operating officer. And there's a number of things. I'll very quickly go through them, but important to note that he did spend a lot of time improving safety practices throughout the transit district and helping the agency demonstrate safety. And he also continually improved our bus and rail on performance and closed a lot of stops and made investments that really helped deal with choke points and delays in the system. Under Doug's leadership, the bus fleet was modernized, and the average age went from 15 years old to 8 years.
Oh, big fucking deal!
The district,
and that started before he got there.
Bus service district-wide, including the first ever bus line across the Fremont Bridge. He implemented, improved, and expanded low-income fare program, which made honored citizen fare rates available to all Trimet's low-income riders.
That was before he got there too.
And then I think also importantly, work with the board and staff to decriminalize the Trimet fare enforcement system. And he's been a leader working with.
That was before all that shit was going on before he got there.
Areas, transportation and land use policies.
Land use, yeah.
A lot with our local government leaders to prioritize public transit as a priority.
Yeah, well, that's probably.
He was instrumental in supporting the House Bill 2017.
It's all crap bullshit. I mean, I can't.
Appreciated his support. And he developed partnerships with multiple agencies and private organizations, including Metro, the Oregon Department of Transportation, the Portland Business Alliance, General Electric, and just a number more. I guess I forgot to mention he's also been working to essentially phase us out of diesel-fueled buses by the year 2040 and go to electrical propulsion or other types. And Doug, as you know, has been a tireless supporter of transit-oriented development and how to provide higher density, mixed use, and mixed income properties within walking distance of transit.
Oh boy, good for
important.
you,
And
Doug.
then
Yeah, you're responsible for all
forget
this.
his leadership in launching the $175 million Division Street Transit project, which is really going to improve the Division corridor and transit service from Gresham to downtown Portland. So whereas throughout his tenure, Doug has demonstrated staunch and long-standing support for organizations representing communities of color, low-income citizens, and people with disabilities, and you heard some of that this morning, and consistently advocated for equitable practices in all agency actions. And whereas, I think this is really important, when public issues raised by widespread structural racism in America's institutions, including the transit agencies, were forcibly brought to everyone's attention by the murder of
Shut up!
the nationwide Black Lives Matter demonstration.
He didn't do shit!
In conjunction with the board of directors, took immediate action, and he convened a blue ribbon committee to examine and evaluate the Trimet's transit police program and to understand the effects on our minority passengers. He immediately redirected $1.8 million annually from Trimet's transit police budget to explore new community-based services to expand our safety approach. He created the Reimagining Public Safety Outreach process and worked to establish
this? Who fucking cares?
Public Safety Advisory Committee, which led to recommendations to provide additional transit training for the transit security personnel, increasing safety personnel on the transit.
Can you shut up?
To create a mobile crisis team.
Go away! Where's the fucking
riders with
Hey, Rippy, bring out the crisis team.
Are now part of Trimet's Reimagine Public Safety program. So, whereas during his tenure, Doug has just continually demonstrated strong leadership, creative initiatives, political wisdom, great political acumen, humility, humor, and vision. Now be it therefore resolved that the Trimet Board of Directors and the Trimet staff hereby express their sincere gratitude to Doug Kelsey for his dedicated service, and be it further resolved that a framed copy of this resolution be presented to Doug Kelsey as an expression of our heartfelt respect and appreciation. And then I'll be signed by me if the board wishes to approve such a resolution. So what I'd like to ask now, before I ask you for comments, is there a motion to approve resolution?
Yeah.
So moved, Linda.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Lori.
All right. I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Before we get to the vote, I'm going to give every board member an opportunity to comment on this. Do you want me to call on you, or do you want to just start?
I can start.
More dick sucking. More dick sucking.
Go ahead, Linda.
Start, Keith. You could.
Now we have to endure.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. Doug. Oh, wow. I'm grateful for your leadership, your ability to assemble a talented team of individuals, and then to inspire them to consider new ways of doing their work.
Jesus fucking Christ!
You and I both talked about change theory and about where there has to be dissatisfaction with the status quo and a vision of a new way. Because of the change in our world, it has brought about, a dissatisfaction. People want more from us as an agency. And you have definitely provided the vision and the leadership and the support for the staff to move forward. The initiatives that you have are happening will continue regardless of your presence, which is a really strong sign of a good leader. And this is because you've made sure that the systems and processes are in place so that they carry forward regardless of your presence. I respect you, your ethics, your honesty, your compassion for others, and your vision of a better way. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have known and worked with you for the last few years. Thank you so much.
Director Edwards?
Thank you. I have to echo everything that Linda said. And I think, what I appreciate most is that in a leader, you're always looking for things that are going to outlive your tenure. And certainly Doug has done that. He's put some things in that will be institutionalized in the Trimet system that are going to benefit the system for years to come. I also really appreciate the regular check-ins that you did individually with board members. I think that was very important and very meaningful because it made the board members let them know a little bit more of a hands-on approach as to what was going on. And also you certainly solicited feedback from the board as well. And so I really appreciate that openness and that transparency. So again, thank you. I certainly have mixed feelings about your departure because, I'm not ready for you to go. But at the same time, I know that you have to move on and enjoy your retirement. And I certainly can appreciate that as I've been retired for a while myself. So I know that you will find certain endeavors that you will be involved in. And I know that Vancouver area will certainly enjoy your return. And I just hope for the best for you going forward in your retirement. Thank you very much, Doug.
Looking at the pictures, Director Bauman.
I can send emojis.
Thank you. What I really appreciated about working with Doug is a combination of kind of practical and focused operational dimension of things like on-time performance, that you put a real focus on on-time performance, and that improved the experience of our
things like torturing your bus operators. Yeah, that's what you appreciate. Focusing on torturing them.
Riders every day, and so you had that sort of small bore focus on operational issues, but at the same time you had a real vision about the future, and this is something that both Linda and Keith have alluded to. Thinking kind of longer term. For example, transit-oriented development. That's kind of a longer term vision that is going to benefit Trimet, but it's also going to have a big impact on the region as a whole, right? It's what the region is going to look like.
What the fuck is she talking about? That's been around here a lot longer than Kelsey. Jesus. I can't watch this shit. This is disgusting. This is as bad as watching Donald Trump. Okay? It's at the same exact level. You're watching people lying with a straight face to you. Okay, same exact dynamic.
So I've really valued kind of both that you are able to do both at the same time, which I think is pretty extraordinary. And I join the rest of the board in wishing you all the best in your retirement. Certainly well earned.
I'll check your email.
Thank you for all you've done for Trimet.
Director Way.
Thanks, Doug, for just your leadership during this pandemic. I know that this
they're trying to kill me. They're raising my blood pressure.
A very stressful time for many folks, and especially our leaders at the top who are just trying to balance and manage so much in this pandemic. And also all of the firestorms that we had last year and the recent storms. So, I think it is difficult to be in your position and to have to make many, many decisions that will affect many people's lives. So I appreciate the work that you have done for us. I will echo Director Edwards' comments in that I really did enjoy the one-on-one meetings prior to the pandemic where, I think you really listened
What are you buying
and
now?
got feedback from individual board members around things that, we were interested in working on or pursuing. And my only thing is I had wished that those conversations had continued during the pandemic, because I think that relationship building and building trust is really important. So thank you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Get done at Attleboro? It worked. It did.
Director Gonzalez.
Yeah, everybody.
There we go. I was muted. Thank you for the opportunity to share what are very much unprepared remarks. Douglas, it's bittersweet to come to the moment of having to say thank you for all the work you've been doing. Not that you don't deserve the thanks, but because we're saying it.
You paid the fucking guy $400,000
instead of a transition, a departure. I am not sure what it is about universal health care or why it is you're deciding it's time to go to Canada. It's not. It can't be that good. But we're not done here yet. We have so much important work to do, and it's a rare person that can have the vision to see what is not yet there, and to see the steps that need to be taken today to get us there. And you have certainly brought that sort of vision in many instances across the agency. You weren't afraid to take some bold steps to have us think bigger and longer than we are accustomed to, and I think it's a healthy thing for the agency to be doing. The work you've done in your short term here has certainly positioned us for work that we're going to be doing well beyond your stay, and I think it's that sort of leadership that helps the agency position for the future. Clearly, you've been at the helm during some really interesting times as public transit is getting redefined, as the relationship with the right-of-way seems to be getting reinvented by the world market. The place public transit plays is a very active conversation, and I really appreciate your focus on keeping it not only relevant in the conversation, but central to what will make cities great as we move forward. So I'm glad that you were willing to walk into the unknown with us. I'm glad that you knew how to challenge the status quo and take a risk on new technologies and find the safest edge we could in trying to play as a partner in that. I'm grateful that you've taken us into some of the directions you have with these big, bold visions. But we're just getting started. So as much as I would love for you to stick around and help us see through this work, I know that climate action is a job that has to live past any one person's job description. So I'm really glad that you've set us up for strategies to continue that work.
Oh my God!
There's clearly a lot left to do. I hope that universal health care keeps you around for a long time, because we want to continue to benefit from your mind in the transit and in the urbanization conversation that we're having across cities around the world. So with that, I'll stop. I'm
already!
Sad. I'm grateful away. And I can only say I wish you many wonderful days ahead, and we will continue to build on the legacy that you've started to put some foundational bricks into here at Trimet.
Sickening. Please stop, please stop. You can please stop now.
So Doug, I guess I'll give you my comments. And I think every good thing about being last is most everything that needs to be said has been said. But I guess I just want to thank you so much for your almost 6 years of time and effort and service to Trimet, the region, the state of Oregon. It's appreciated, and as you heard, it's going to help us continue to improve transit service and deal with the changes that we know are going to be coming over the next few years. You brought some bold leadership and vision to Trimet. your ideas about how we can become a world-class transit organization are just unbelievably exciting, and hopefully we'll be able to move those forward without you. And it's also my hope that you will continue to be a friend of this region and try to come down and visit us on a regular basis and tell us what your observations are, how we're doing. But most of all is I think what people are saying, you're going to be missed.
Yeah, we're going to miss you. Get out already, go!
Understand your desire to spend more time with your family and friends and move back to Vancouver. I know that you've now gotten into fly fishing, and so I hope to be able to find some time to get out on the river with you. And
yeah, he's got lots of money now, man.
Some fish, or at least have some fun casting a fly. So we will stay in touch.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Again, the resolution is long, but it's true that you were involved in so many things in your limited time here that the public probably does not understand. And I hope this resolution brings to their attention all the wonderful things that have occurred under your leadership. So Doug, thank you, and good luck in your new chapter of your life. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you to all of you.
You bet.
Go away
with
now.
That, is there
ready
to call a question on the resolution? All right. With that, I'm going to say all those in favor of the motion to approve resolution number 21-02-03, which is honoring Doug Kelsey, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Of course not. Why would they oppose that, right?
It's because you're people. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Again, Doug, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to you now for the general manager report. And if you want to say anything, Doug, you're more than welcome.